It is one of the top concerns among Americans and has been a political issue for decades. I'm talking about health care. As much as things probably need to improve, most of us at least have access to health care in this country. In any given zip code in Houston, for example, there are 2,500 doctors. But in some entire countries, there's only one qualified doctor or worse, none at all. That's what it's like for many undeveloped nations around the world. Dr. Paul Osteen recently traveled to Kenya and experienced this firsthand.
Oscar came in and he had spina bifida taken care of at another mission hospital called Kajabi Mission Hospital, and they did a fine job. And he's left with some clubbing of his feet, and he walks on the side of his feet. It's a miracle that he's able to walk. Guys will look at this, and he's beginning to improve. And I think we're going to even have some of the orthopedic surgeons here look to see perhaps if they could straighten his legs out so he can walk better. So he's got an attentive...
The Mobilizing Medical Missions Conference is happening February 23rd and 24th at Lakewood Church. And joining us to talk about that is Dr. Paul Osteen.
Deborah,
hello there.
How are you?
Wow, it's so amazing to see you in those places that for a lot of folks are out of sight, out of mind. You've been to countries, as I just mentioned, that healthcare, they don't even have access to it.
Exactly. You know, I was 3.5 months in western Kenya western Zambia near Angola. I was the only qualified surgeon in an area the size of Louisiana. 5 billion people around the world do not have access to basic surgical care, affordable surgical care. And to me, that's compelling, and it's one of the reasons we're doing the conference. Let's mobilize the people that we have here in this Gulf Coast area, and let's make a difference around the world.
Yeah. Why did you decide to become a doctor?
You know, I just wanted to help people. And my mom was a nurse, and I put her bandage scissors in my palm of my hand when I was 7 years old, and I knew that was what I wanted to do. And, you know, it's been a target for me for all my life.
I can only imagine when you do it here in this country, and people come, you know, they have the health insurance and all that type of stuff, but to do it in a country where they look at you as a miracle because they haven't seen a doctor.
Yeah, it's compelling. You know, the thing about it is when you provide basic surgical care to people who have no access to it, it just does something on the inside. It renews your faith why you became a doctor, and just the gratitude in their eyes is worth it all.
Yeah, all right. What is the biggest lesson you've learned through all of this?
You know, I think...
Because oftentimes we do good things for people. Yeah. It's interesting because you realize that you may have done something good for them, but a lot of good and lessons came back to us too.
Oh goodness, yeah. You know, you give and it comes back to you. But I think the biggest lesson I've learned is that when you talk about the overwhelming problem, 5 billion people not having access to surgical care, it's overwhelming. But I love what Jesus said. He said, whatever you did for one person, the least of these. So, you know what, you just do what you can, and you know, several of you do what you can, and you know, just it's an exponential, you know, effect we have in this, you know, this huge problem. And so I think the thing I learned is just do what you can and leave the results to God. He'll take care of the rest.
That's a great point, because I think sometimes many of us who want to help get overwhelmed and we think the task is too big, but understand you're not doing the entire task. It's just your little bit that's added to everyone else's, which is, you know, the idea behind the Mobilizing Medical Missions Conference that you have. So it's the 3rd annual one. It's always here in Houston. Yeah. Explain exactly to those folks in the medical industry like what it is that they can do and what you're looking for.
Well, 3 things. Number 1, I want to connect people who have a passion to help people, and maybe they already are doing it, and they aren't connected with other people here in the Houston area, which we have so many people in the Houston area making
largest medical
difference.
Center in the world.
Yeah, and these people are passionate making a difference, but let's connect with each other. Number 2, let's be inspired by people who have, I say it like this, Deborah, who have their fingernails dirty. They're out there doing the work right now. It's not esoteric to them. They're practical people who are in the field right now. We have 35 speakers coming from all over the world that will talk and hopefully inspire us. And then the last thing is we have 75 exhibitors around the big bowl there at Lakewood. These are ministries and organizations that need people to help them. Yeah. And so, you know what, we want to...
Well, you don't have to do the heavy lifting. Those organizations already know what you can do.
Yeah. And so we're hoping that not only connect and inspire, but also people can actually find their purpose and find their mission.
Yeah, all right. You have an emergency field hospital, something new this year?
It is. Samaritan's Purse works all around the world, and I was in Mosul, Iraq, taking care of the war-wounded patients there for 2 months last year. But they're bringing their entire emergency field hospital, setting it up at Lakewood, and you'll be able to walk through it, see the triage areas, see the ward, the patient care areas, and the operating room. It'll be, I think, an inspiring thing for people to realize, hey, listen, I could be a part of an emergency field hospital somewhere around the world, like in Bangladesh right now, or like in Mosul, Iraq right now, taking care of people.
Do you remember remember the very first time that you went over on one of these kind of missions, and what do you say to a doctor or nurse or health care provider who is going for the very first time? Because it's a whole different world.
It is. As a matter of fact, I have this conversation often. Number one, step out of your comfort zone. Number two, don't try to teach them what you know, learn what they know. Because I tell you, they have been doing it for years with minimal supplies, with minimal technology, and they do an amazing job. So learn from them and then teach them what you know as you learn from them.
Yeah, it's interesting. One of the organizations I support is because of the story I heard of just several years ago when HIV/AIDS first came out. And there was a doctor, people were getting sick, and he was giving them vitamin shots because he thought he could help them. And they looked at him, they said, okay, where are all the empty or old syringes? And he looked at them and said, what do you mean? I only have one. And what he didn't realize is that, so it's like to have one syringe, if you have a doctor who can administer, right? That's how critical the situation is in so many places around the world. All right, I want to end with this. You Osteen people have the best hair. The last time I saw Paul, he was actually kind of more of a blondish type. Now you're a silver fox.
Well, thank you. Thank you. I just hope it stays.
Yeah, right. Right. And then tell Joel and Mama we said hello. The whole family, we said hello.
And they send their greeting.
And thank you very much for what you all do for the city.
Thank you so much.
All right, the Mobilizing Medical Missions Conference is happening February 23rd and 24th at Lakewood Church. To register, go to m3missions.com.